Hoo-hoo. Snacks.
Hey, welcome to Saturday. Today we are going to be reviewing Clif Bloks Energy Chews.
And snacking on Clif Bloks Energy Chews. Because these are among the tastiest chewables that I've ever had. Second, probably only to Scratch.
That's true. I remember my mom had these when she was training for marathons, and I was a sprinter, so I did not need these. But I remember being intrigued by these and thinking that they looked really good and I wanted to eat them. But they were not mine, so I did not. But now we get to eat our own. These were founded by Gary Erickson. I believe these were our Clif Bars were launched in 1992. And the story behind Clif is that Gary Erickson decided to do a 175-mile bike ride in a day with a friend, and he decided to fuel with, I believe it was Power Bar. I think that was the only bar that was out at that time, and he got sick of it and maybe had some GI distress, so he decided he wanted to create his own intra-workout fuel for ultra-endurance athletes and outdoor enthusiasts. In 1990, he started working on this recipe with his mom, and then he named his company Clif after his dad, Clifford. Yeah, which I thought was kind of cool. There weren't a whole lot of intra-workout bars back then, so Clif took off and cyclists started using them and rock climbers started using them and mountain climbers. So that was the first thing that Clif invented, and then they expanded to other products years later. Today we were actually going to review the Clif Shots energy gels, but last, I believe it was May of 2023, they actually were discontinued. So we decided to move on to this product.
I feel like I would be rude. You have this wonderful story that you're telling, and I feel like I would be rude to chime in with my thoughts in the middle of it, because my thoughts are. And so he decided to make a bar made out of seeds and peanut butter and stuff. It's like the worst feeling product of all time. But this is much better than that.
Yeah, he started off trying to make something that was healthy and something that was easier to digest than, like a full-on meal.
Clif Bars are not easier to digest than a full-on meal.
I agree. I think that was his goal, is to make it natural and healthy. But I agree with you. It wasn't. Clif Bars.
You're so nice, and Michelle has made it her goal today to be more positive about the products and less cynical.
I'm trying to be less cynical, so just bear with me.
I think we're going to clash.
We're going to clash.
When you have a cynic in the room and you have a positive Polly.
The one thing I did want to add that I'm not going to add is the fact that Clif got sued back in 2018 because they have these Clif Kids Z bars, apparently. And I think, if I'm getting this right, somebody sued Clif because there was added sugar in the bars or something, and it claimed to be all natural without any added sugars, but there were added sugars, and apparently that packaging wasn't correct. But my problem with that is that these bars were supposedly supposed to be for active kids, or kids that were doing some sort of sport or something, and so if there's added sugar in there, good. And if some parent is upset about the Clif Bars having added sugar, well, maybe they shouldn't be giving their kid a granola bar or some sort of workout product for their healthy snack. Maybe they should give their kids some vegetables or something. That's just my thought. So I think that's kind of unfair. But I don't know the whole story, so maybe I should even speak to that.
That makes sense, actually, because Clif has a die-hard naturalistic following, which is maybe why their Clif Shots are now, their bars are super nutty, grainy.
Apparently these were produced because the founder, Gary, he wanted to have something else to eat on his long runs and long bike rides besides just the gels and the bars, so he created these, which are basically glorified gummy blocks with caffeine in them. Some of them have caffeine, some of them don't. This one does not have caffeine. These two, I believe, do have caffeine.
How many servings are in one of these packets of gummy bears that are not in the shape of bears?
There are 2 servings in one of these packets. So when we go over the nutrition facts, just keep in mind that's half of a packet. Okay. That just fell on the floor. Okay, let's go over the nutrition facts. In 1 serving, so half of this packet, there are 100 calories. There's no fat, no cholesterol. There's 50 milligrams of sodium per half of this packet, 24 grams of carbohydrates, 12 grams of sugar, and they added here, includes 12 grams of added sugars, probably because of that lawsuit, 0 protein, and 10 milligrams of potassium. Ear chewing is very loud in my ear.
I'm just going as fast as I can. Just like exercise,
I'd probably be choking if unless it's an easier day, like an aerobic day or something, you'd be fine. But if you're going harder than that, like lactate threshold or VO2 max or faster, I'd be choking on that for sure. Okay, so let's go over the ingredients. We have tapioca syrup, which is glucose. The next ingredient is cane sugar, which we know is 1 glucose and 1 fructose molecule stuck together. And then we have maltodextrin, which is
Glucose in a chain.
And then we have pectin, citric acid, potassium citrate, green tea extract, which is for the caffeine, I believe, natural flavor, sea salt, sunflower oil, and carnauba wax.
Carnauba wax.
You're right. Get that out.
We don't need to cut that out. Keep that in. So even the ones with caffeine, which sometimes can make things bitter, are still delicious. They are pretty hard to chew. I would never in a million years take these on anything above like high aerobic. If I'm like at tempo, oh my god, if I'm running like threshold, zero chance I'm consuming one of these. Because it would take me 10 minutes to chew and swallow it, and I would get frustrated. I mean, I'd probably spit it out because I couldn't actually swallow it. Like, I'm winded just chewing these.
Okay, so let's look at how they recommend we use this product. So it says, for best results, eat 1 packet or 2 servings, 1 packet, every hour during activity. Always follow consumption with water. Watch caffeine intake. We suggest not exceeding 400 milligrams of caffeine daily. So in this packet, the orange flavor, we have 50 milligrams of caffeine total. So it does not say how much water to consume with this. Honestly, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot because in this entire package, there's only 100 milligrams of sodium and 48 grams of carbs.
There's another benefit to these. They will actually make you eat your carbs if you have a problem consuming while you run or ride, and you're like, I don't like to drink things, or you just don't like to eat on the go. These are so tasty, you will eat.
I mean, it's like candy. It's like, it really feels like it's a little baggie of caffeinated gummy bears. Oh man, if there were caffeinated gummy bears, we would have a problem in this house. I would overdose on caffeine so quickly.
Somebody message Albanese. Get the execs of Albanese on the line, and let's make that happen.
I don't know if that's a good idea for people's safety.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Okay, so Alex, what is your opinion on the sodium source in here and the carbohydrate source?
My opinion on the sodium source in the Clif Bloks is that it doesn't matter because the sodium is such a low content. There's only 50 milligrams of sodium per serving. That means 100 milligrams of sodium per packet, and you're going to have to drink way more than 100 mils of water to get this down while exercising. So you are at no risk of GI trouble from having the wrong source of sodium at this limited sodium amount. That said, I'm seeing sea salt, and I don't think I see sodium citrate. You're going to need a sodium supplement when you eat these as your carb source. This is just carbs, basically.
I would argue you're going to need a carb source, too, because there's only 48 grams of carbs in this packet.
But have you tasted them? You're going to eat multiple packets.
Yeah, that's true. But then let's do the math on that. If we're consuming 100 to 120 grams of carbs per hour, how much caffeine are we getting? It depends on the packet, because I think they all have different caffeine contents.
Actually, the carb to caffeine ratio on this is pretty solid. $50. And that's on sale.
Wow.
All right, so let's clarify the various versions of Clif Bloks. We have sour, salty, calf, and non-calf, which they just call sweet. The caffeinated ones sometimes have 25 milligrams of caffeine and sometimes have 50 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So you could be getting 100 milligrams of caffeine per package or 50 milligrams per package. One of the sour ones has caffeine and one of the sour ones does not have caffeine. The salty ones have, I think, 2 or 3 times as much sodium, which still is going to short you on the actual sodium amount that you need during training. So the salty versions double the sodium amount but leave the potassium amount the same low, 18 milligrams per serving, 36 milligrams per package. That's actually great that they increase sodium without increasing potassium. That's ideal. But unfortunately, even if you consume the 100 milligrams of sodium per serving, that's 200 milligrams of sodium per package, you're getting 96 grams of carbs, and you're getting 0 to 100 milligrams of caffeine per package. Those ratios mean that you will need a sodium supplement. You need to be also consuming sodium in your beverages or salt tabs if you like to spend money. In any case, you need sodium in addition to this because you can't get enough sodium from any of these.
So let's say you had a lifetime supply of these and you had to use these for training. How would you use these?
I would put them in a locked cabinet to make sure that I didn't eat them in the middle of the night. And then when I used them during training, I'm going to hate myself for saying this, I would never buy Mortal Hydration. But if I wanted to spend lots of money on sodium and an okay tasting sodium beverage, I might buy Mortal Hydration Super Salty and then pair it with this. But that's going to be an overkill on flavor. So really, I would probably put like a light dusting of any powdered drink that I like in a bottle and then add half a teaspoon of sodium, half a teaspoon of table salt, or a whole teaspoon of sodium citrate to that bottle. 20 to 32 ounces ish. Gotta have sodium with these.
So you would get all of your carbs for your training and racing from these?
Oh, I thought that was a question if I had to use these for all of my carbs, but if I didn't have to use these...
Oh, I mean, yeah, okay.
If I could use these just in part and had a lifetime supply. Yeah, I would never use these on a hard day. Would never use these during a race unless it was like at least a 10-hour race, probably like an 18-hour race, just because it's like a nice mix-up of flavor. I get a tasty snack in the middle of the race. It's better than eating like a bacon cheeseburger in the middle of your race. But yeah, I would use these on my like low aerobic longer days when I just wanted the flavor experience.
Yeah, they are really good, honestly. So we had a lot of these when we first ordered them, and as you can see, we have 2.5 left because they were delicious. Actually, we have less than 2.5 left.
Yeah, I ate all of them. Almost.
Okay. And they make me want to train.
Who does that? Comment in the comments if you bite into a block or if you take the whole block. While Michelle is now chewing, let's come back to the carb ingredients and what they mean in terms of the exact ratio that this product gives you for glucose to fructose. And remember, glucose-fructose ratio matters because it helps more sugar, more carbohydrate get through your gut more easily using all the available transporters in your gut during exercise. So we want a 2-to-1 or a 1-to-1 or somewhere in between glucose-fructose ratio. Tapioca syrup is just glucose. We have cane sugar as the second ingredient. Maltodextrin, the third ingredient, is also just glucose. So they added maltodextrin probably because people want to see that on ingredients lists in products like this. So maltodextrin is essentially meaningless here, less than a gram. You have a pure glucose source in tapioca syrup and a glucose-fructose 1-to-1 source in cane sugar, which means overall you have a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose, assuming that tapioca syrup and cane sugar are in equal proportions in this product, which they are, because we know that because we have 24 grams of carbs and 12 grams of added sugar.
So maltodextrin, when you're looking at nutrition facts, is not listed as a sugar because maltodextrin, even though it breaks down into individual glucose molecules, is a long chain of glucose, making it a complex carbohydrate or a polysaccharide. And polysaccharides on nutrition labels are never listed as a sugar. They're listed as a carbohydrate, but not a sugar, even though they break down into glucose in your body and your body doesn't know the difference. So it's kind of just a nuance of looking at nutrition labels.
Moral of the story, these are a 2-to-1 glucose-fructose source, which means you should probably add a little bit more fructose into your overall fuel and hydration mix.
So what would you rank these on an A to F rating scale?
I'll give them a solid B-. Usable.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that the flavoring and the experience of eating these, as long as you're not training really hard, is an A. But I would say overall, yeah, I would say like a B.
And at 18 packages for $50, that's what, like $2.50 a package? That's crazy talk.
I'll just stick with the gummy bears. It's okay. Let us know in the comments if you love these and eat these in the middle of the night like we do. Until next time.
Alright, now that I've had my glucose pump for the night,